There we go. Now we're up and running. Hello, and welcome uh, to a chord falling on me repeatedly. Welcome to the other podcast. I am André
And
Davis.
I am Patrick.
Oh yeah, see, I threw you off a little bit this time. I threw
Yeah,
my last name into there. I
we're
don't even
doing
know
we're doing
why.
last names now, so I didn't know that, but
I didn't know I was doing it either. It was just
yeah.
kind of came to me.
I'm like Madonna, so I'll stick with the one name thing. If I was gonna pick my celebrity, I think she and I have a lot in common. So
So, well, I mean, if you're gonna go with that, then I mean, do you want to go with Pat? I mean, you got all these options.
that is true. Yeah, yeah.
I
No, I'll stick with Patrick. That works.
I did want to mention I do love the air thing. You got the what do you call those? Heat pumps. There we go.
Yes, yes, that is my. We're in our fancy studio now. Yeah, and this is pretty much the only place I can be in my house that has any sort of privacy at all. So it's now just a heat pump in the background.
I love the look of heat pumps. I don't know why, but every time I see them, I just get jealous. I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
We've
No, but
just
yeah, we just got these installed in September, so we didn't get to try any of the cooling. So I have no
mm.
idea how well it cools down the room, which is obviously why we wanted it. But the heat seems to be working okay so far. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the most predictable thing ever, my parents got theirs installed about a week after we did, and my mom already hates it. She says she doesn't like the air blowing on her, and it's too noisy. So we're like, we knew she was gonna. My mom cannot handle any kind of change. So that was, we had taken bets on how long it would take to complain, and I think it was about a week, and she was already regretting her purchase. So
Wow.
and then the second half of that is then blaming my dad for talking her into it. So yeah,
Someone's got to take the fall.
that's right. That's right.
My parents got heat pumps in their place years and years ago down in New Hampshire, and you mentioned the air blowing on you. Like they've got like or they had really high ceilings in their living room
Yeah.
and stuff, so their heat pumps were like way up in the thing. So I don't think they ever had to deal with that at all, but I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
What will be interesting is I have to pay the first electrical bill since we've gotten it this weekend. So I'm curious to see. Obviously, we haven't hit like really cold weather or anything like that, but we have been running it. Um, we have it set for whatever, and it's been running. And our furnace has not, had to turn on obviously since we've had them. But I'm just curious to see how our energy bill has already started to change.
Yeah.
Uh, but
It was
we'll
gonna be an
see.
offset though, right? Because do you have oil or propane or
Well,
natural?
right, yeah. So in theory, we'll have some savings from not using oil as much as we would. We have this is more of like a supplement to the oil. And once I think it gets really cold, in theory, the furnace will still kick on because these won't be able to keep up. But we'll see. I've heard from some people that theirs have kept up really well. So
Nice. So what do you guys do for hot water?
we
Like
have electric hot water.
nice.
We
So
have all kinds of different things because I'm sure our energy, um, household energy is really thrilling for people to listen to. But we have forced hot air. So that's a furnace. We have an oil furnace that does forced hot air into um, all the rooms downstairs. And then our bedroom has a vent from that as well. But they put a dormer on, and when they did that, they basically Rowan's room was like a closet, and then when they put the dormer on, that became a bedroom. And same thing with the bathroom up here. So those have electric baseboards because they don't have a vent from the oil furnace.
mhm.
And so we have that. Now we also have heat pumps. So we have three different heat sources in our house. And then we have the electric hot water, and we have a propane tank for our stove. So we do all kinds of different stuff.
I didn't realize you guys had a gas stove.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Someday, hopefully, we'll have a gas fireplace instead of a wood fireplace. That's like the next thing, not the next thing, but one of the things down the road to shift to.
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you prefer a gas fireplace to a wood one?
I just think ease of use, being able to just like I love wood fires, but you don't have to clean it out. You don't have to,
Mm.
you know, bring the wood in and out. It just push a button and you got fire. I'd like it. Andrea, I think, would like to stay with wood, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's something about the ritual for me, for like, because we've got a wood fireplace, and just that idea of like bringing in the wood and
Yeah.
getting all cozy, or making the kids bring in the wood, and that
Well,
that's all.
I also get paranoid about everything, so I'm like, we're gonna have a chimney fire. We're gonna have,
Yeah.
and so that's my other thing is how well maintained is this? We've had it inspected, but I don't trust it, and so that eliminates that for me. But like I said, Andrea loves the wood, and I do like the smell of it. I like the crackling of it. I like
Mhm.
all those things that you kind of lose if you had a gas fireplace. For some reason, we've gotten pretty good about like the smoke going up the chimney, but I'd say maybe one out of every 5 fires we smoke out the entire downstairs of our house as well. We don't get a good updraft.
Really.
So yeah, but usually it's okay. It's gotten better. I think we had some like tree work done or something, and that helped quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we haven't had that issue at all. Wait, you had tree work done and that helped?
yeah, well, because we talked to when we had our chimney, we had to have some repairs done on our chimney. And we talked to them. We were talking about how we weren't getting a great updraft because we were also having an issue with some of the exhaust because it shares a flue with our furnace. They both go out the same chimney, just divided in parts.
Hmm.
And so we were getting like some of the exhaust back in the house too. And so they said they thought it was because we had some branches up above that were interfering with I don't know, the updraft in some way. So they suggested getting them cut, and we did, and that's helped quite a bit actually. Actually, we had the whole tree taken down, but
Huh. That's
yeah,
interesting. I never really
I
would have.
know.
I mean,
I
I
did
guess that
not.
makes
I mean,
sense. Like something blocking the smoke.
it wasn't touching it or anything. It was just
Right.
feet up above. But yeah.
Just enough. Hmm.
Anyway,
Very.
so what's going on?
Not much. Like I said, I got finally have been getting over this COVID thing. Today I felt good for the first time, and like I was awake for most of the day. I think for the past 2 or 3 days I've been taking naps intermittently throughout the day, just laying down, and but it's very hard for me to do, like to take naps. I
Yeah,
truly
you're not a
understand.
napper.
No, like I truly understand what like little kids are like, and they're like, I don't want to take a nap. Like that was
Yeah.
me, but I wasn't really putting a fight up against anybody though, so that was kind of nice.
Why don't you like to take naps? Is it just like too much going on in your brain, like you can't shut that off, or
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much. Like I'll lay down, and if it's the middle of the day, and even at night, really, sometimes you just lay down, and I'll just start thinking about, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing this, I could be
yeah,
doing
okay.
this, and whether I'm actually gonna do those things or not is a completely different story. But the
Now, when you say I could be doing this, is it like enjoyable things that you're thinking about, or like all the like housework I've got to get done, or projects I've got to do, or that kind of thing?
little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, like it's anything really. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes I'll think about the laundry that I could be doing, and then I'll have to say, all right, well, I can do that afterwards. It'll wait. Like those types of things. Um, but work stuff, if I kind of
Yeah.
have an idea for to do something in a project that I'm working on, well, like, oh, I could go ahead and do this now. But again, whether I actually do that or not is
Yeah. We're the exact opposite because I would be doing those things thinking, oh, I wish I could be taking a nap right now. That's like, no, like napping is one of my very favorite things to do. Like I have a hammock outside. I love to lay down in the hammock and take a nap in the summers. Like I will take a nap any day. We talked about last week about how they're asking us to do teacher some days at
Mhm.
school. Like if I was really going to put in a someday, I was considering like I want to take a 2 hour nap in the middle of the school day. Like I want to go in a room somewhere, not that we have any empty spaces, shut off all the lights at school, have like a little bed in there and just sleep for a couple hours. That would be awesome. But
That's awesome.
I
Like
so I don't have that. In fact,
what was that?
Well, I was gonna say what happens to me is I end up falling asleep when I'm supposed to be doing other things. Like last night I was trying to correct papers and I fell asleep, and it was, that was like at 7 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden it was 11:30, and I was like, oh, okay. So,
Yeah, I wish I could get into that because I do enjoy relaxing. I really do enjoy it, but it's just
yeah,
I'm my own worst enemy. Like you talk about the hammock, and like I've got a hammock out back, and in the summer I love just sitting back there and laying and shutting my eyes at least. And usually I won't be able to sleep at all, uh, but just that relaxation time to soak up the sun and
yeah,
just swing and actually
yeah,
have nothing to do. I actually read something about basically that like you need to be able to relax to just kind of shut it off, like to put that into
yeah,
your day of
yeah,
stuff because it's good for you. But it's
yeah. Getting regular sleep is a good thing. Yeah,
yeah, I've got no problem with sleeping. I can, well, I don't sleep. I'm not an 8 hour sleeper at all. Like I pretty much is a
yeah.
6 hour. My body wakes up between 6 and 7 hours, and like some nights it's 2 a.m. wake up, and I go to bed at like 8 o'clock, anywhere between 8 and 9:30 or so. But sometimes I
Yeah.
wake up at 2 in the morning, just like ready to go, and I'll be able to make it throughout the day doing that. I think my grandfather was kind of the same way though, because I remember him talking about, or my parents or and my aunts and uncles talking about him just getting up super early and doing whatever throughout the day, which I guess it's
So I was
genetic.
gonna say, so
What's that?
do you actually get up at that time? Like if you wake up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., are you gonna get up and get out of bed and go do something?
Yeah, yeah. I've forced myself over the past, I don't know, 3 months or so to like actually go back to bed and just
Yeah.
try to sleep, which is a hit or miss. Usually I'll be able to get back to sleep for another hour or two,
Mhm.
but sometimes, I'll be just be laying there and think to myself, this is stupid.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I may as well get up at this point because I'm not getting any real rest here. But although, like, I
Yeah.
don't know, there's something to be said about like letting your body rest at least.
Yeah.
I used to go down to. That's when I started going down to the gym. Anytime Fitness. It's open
Yep.
24 hours, so I just 2 a.m. get up, walk down to the gym, work out, walk home,
Yeah.
and start my day.
Well, that's one of the things. So, Andrew and I, like when you and I had kind of started reconnecting, talking and stuff, and I started seeing things where you were like going for walks like early in the morning, going to the, you mentioned going to the gym like super early. And so we were trying to figure out your schedule, or like, he does seem to have like really strange hours, because sometimes he would be doing things at, 2 a.m. or something. Like, I don't get how this all works, but that, I guess that makes sense. And, if you were me, I like, if I wake up in the morning like that, I'd be restless and rolling around, waking up Andrea next to me and, all that anyway. So probably better to just get up and go do something.
Yeah, I used to. I've gotten a lot better at getting up now because I used to get up and wake up Candy every time, and
Yeah.
part of it was our door is like if I try to shut the door all the way, it's just like a really loud shut and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
finally came to the conclusion like I don't have to shut the door all the way. It's okay. Like I can, as long as I don't wake her up, that's the goal now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love getting up early and having that whole morning to myself to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do
Well,
whatever you
definitely, it
do.
definitely gives you like that sort of private, like not, I mean, private, like alone time. You know what I mean? Like, you're like me. You have kids at home. You have your wife, and so you don't get a lot of that time. That's just kind of like quiet and still and to yourself. Like I get about a half hour a day in the morning, um, before the kids are up. Andrea's, taking a shower or whatever, and I sit down with a mug of tea,
Mm.
and it's like my half hour, and I actually really look forward to that every single day. So yeah, like having that time is definitely good.
Yeah, that's nice. It's kind of funny, like you say that. Like I've got several hours, like more because nobody's awake at that time. But it's kind of funny because
Hmm.
like Dominic's starting to become more of an early person, and part of it I think is because I wake him up. He says that
Yeah.
he'll come upstairs. He's like, "So you clomping around at 4 in the morning?" And it's like, I don't think I'm clomping. I'm trying to walk gently. I'm not wearing shoes. But he sleeps in the basement, so it's there's like
Oh
no
yeah.
pad,
So
and we have hardwood floors, so there's not really any getting around it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but sometimes it's funny, like I'll hear him coming upstairs and stuff, and it's like, ah, he's breaking into my alone time, even though I've
Yeah,
already been
yeah.
up for like 2 hours at that point. By that point,
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of nice. Like I've tried to get him to do stuff with me, like go to the gym in the morning with me, or like whatever. But he's not into it. He's just he
Not
says he
yet.
wants to, but oh,
Let's do a time check here. All right, we got like 7 minutes before our guest is going to join us.
7 minutes before Kellina Powell joins the other podcast. I was looking at the. I've been uh, looking at the analytics on YouTube and stuff. We
Hmm.
get a lot of
Yeah,
views. We've almost got a
yeah.
thousand subscribers now. We're at or was it 919 subscribers? I
Is
think
it still all driven off that video of you videotaping somebody else videotaping the Eagles game?
Well, I've got two videos like that now. When I was
Oh boy.
at in England, I took another video similar to that, like looking through somebody else's phone because there was some stunt show or something going on, and I just wanted to see. I was like, all right, is this like if I do this again, will I get like the same amount of views? And it pretty much, it wasn't the same amount, but it was still a huge spike. So people want to see things through other
Yeah.
phones.
That's going to be your thing. That's going to be your claim to internet fame. We got to start doing that. I should have, when we went to that Judah and the Lion concert, I should have done the same thing. It was a
Ah,
perfect opportunity. Missed it. Damn.
should have looked. Next time you're out there, just we can stage one too. We'll just
Yeah.
go. I'll
We're
put my
going,
phone out.
yeah, in a couple weeks, Andrew and I are going to see Trampled by Turtles at the State Theater. So we'll try to, if I see somebody recording the show, I'll try to record them. Although I don't know how many fans that would bring us in. I'm not sure they're that popular. Although an excellent band, I'm not sure that they've, how how big they are with the younger folk and that sort of thing. So
And that is another band. Like, there's a lot of bands you say that you're going to go see, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, he's just making up these band names. Like, that's not a thing.
no,
So,
Trampled by Turtles, they're very good.
what do they play?
They're like it's like a bluegrassy folk kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like bluegrass. Are they like
yeah.
a blues traveler type?
No, I'm trying to think of who I would compare them to. No, they're definitely more bluegrassy. Like they definitely have more of a traditional bluegrass, like banjo kind of feel than
Mm,
I guess it's sort of like early Mumford and Sons, that kind of thing, but even more like towards the bluegrass end of it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so they're pretty cool. Just I don't even know how we got. I think just Spotify or Pandora or something like that. That's how we have found most of our new bands that we listen to. So I think it was
Nice.
just through something like that.
You just
Yep.
go out and wouldn't do you use like bands in town type thing, or do you?
I've used that before, like trying to find some new stuff, and but yeah, no, mostly it's just from we have Amazon Music, so we put on stations and just find them out kind of through that.
Well, I mean, as far as like knowing who's coming to town and stuff.
Oh, who's coming? I've really gotten into seeing like live music, so I check State Theater their website constantly. And we get emails from them when somebody's coming in. Every year Thompson's Point, we know to start looking and constantly like checking to see who's coming there. And then I have a lot of venues like the House of Blues in Boston. We go, yeah, House of Blues, yeah. I would go there several times, so I check their website every month or something just to see if there's anybody new on there.
Nice.
So, yep, yeah, music. I'm certainly not an audiophile or anything like that, but I've just really developed an appreciation for going to see live music, and especially when the pandemic, you couldn't go do that for a couple of years. So it was, my take now is anybody that I'm even remotely interested in, if they're coming, I'm going to go see them, because you never know when they're going to come back. And
yeah,
so
it's such a good way to spend time and money too. I mean, you pay for the experience, go out and hear some good music, hopefully, and
I think we talked about too how, like, with our kids, we've sort of shifted into that when it comes to like giving gifts for birthdays or Christmas. We're looking more at experiences versus objects. So you know what I mean? I mean, they still get some of that material stuff, but we've really tried to kind of start pushing towards, let's go to a concert together, let's go take a trip somewhere and make that part of their gift. And I really enjoy that.
Nice. I just realized I didn't start recording the Zoom call itself, which is actually fine, which is probably for the better, because I like to, anytime I've had a guest on, I'll like record the Zoom call and send them a copy of the Zoom recording so that they can have it and use it for whatever they want, if they want to use it. This is probably better because she won't have us talking for half an hour before she gets on.
Again, she might be really interested in how I heat my home. Maybe she's thinking about heat pumps, and she wants to know, is that right for me? So,
well, she can always watch the episode on YouTube.
Yeah, we can give her my contact information. She can always get back to me.
That should be your new niche, like just heat pumps and heating sources.
Yes. Yeah, and it'll be, sticking with our usual theme. It'll be something I know nothing about. I'm not an expert in it all, and so it'll be perfect for our podcast. But
why not?
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna check my email real quick, just because. Okay. Just because I'm making sure that people aren't trying to get in touch with me and saying, "Hey, I can't make it," or "I can't sign on," or something like that. And we've still got a couple minutes or 1 minute, so I wasn't too worried, but you never know.
Yeah.
So what's going on this weekend? You got anything going on for you and the fam?
Well, it is Halloween weekend, so we're doing a family. We didn't start, but our neighborhood started a couple years ago, a Halloween parade. So we have our, I don't know if it's like third, fourth, fifth annual Halloween parade, where we get all the kids together and they just go around. We have a tiny little neighborhood. It's like just a little circle behind our house. And so they go around the block and we put out candy for them. Although usually we do it on Halloween, but because Halloween's on Monday, we're doing it on Saturday. So I guess they're all going to get to trick or treat twice. But yeah, we're doing that. And then we have some friends in the neighborhood that we usually go over their house on Halloween for dinner. So we're going to go do that. There she is.
Hello. Give me a few seconds.
What's that?
There.
We had her. She'll be back.
She'll be back. We've got her on the screen. There we go. So you're going...
Yep, so we're going to their house. We usually do adult beverages as we walk around trick-or-treating, and then we go over for dinner after. So, hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Hi, Kellina.
Good, how are you?
I'm good, just really busy, but I'm okay. How about you two? How are you guys doing?
We're good.
That's good.
We're not in our usual studio today because Andre's family has... Oh, we're getting a little echo. His family came down with COVID, so we're in our remote COVID studios doing it from our own home.
No!
So we're going to make it work.
Okay. Oh my God, I hope everything is okay.
Yeah, I'm getting over it now. The whole family is pretty much getting to the end of it. So, but it hasn't been fun, that's for sure.
I'm glad to hear that.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're recording now. I'm gonna record the Zoom meeting as well, just so you can have a copy. That's what I do.
Okay.
Maybe. There we go.
Recording in progress.
Perfect. And welcome to the show. This is the other podcast. Typically, Pat and I will get together once a week, but sometimes we have some guests on. And today our guest is you, Kellina Powell. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Definitely. So, hi everybody. So, my name is Kellina. I am so many things, honestly. Get ready for popcorn. So, I'm an author, international speaker, an advocate for the deaf community, and as well, I'm a mental health coach for young professionals who have disabilities. So I'm open doors for other as well too, but not just disability people. And yeah, so that is about me. And little do people know, I actually became deaf at the age of 4, and that's why I started my journey to kind of be an advocate for people who are deaf, because I was able to kind of fit in both of the community, being the deaf person and the deaf community. So it was very hard to really get myself out there, and it's very unfortunate that that I didn't have anybody that looked like myself when I got older, because I was confused a lot of time when I was younger, and I didn't have anybody to look up to. And this is why I do what I'm doing, to really teach the deaf community that it doesn't matter what you have, whether you're deaf or not, or any other disability. It doesn't mean you can't keep being forward in your life and being successful. And yeah, and that's about me.
That's awesome. So you brought up a good point. I think with you talked about not having somebody to look up to as you were growing older. I was thinking about that the other day, actually, in that sense of what was I watching? There was something, and that movie Encanto. Have you guys seen that? I haven't actually seen it. It's
a terrible experience in Canto, so I'll save for another time, but go ahead.
Okay. So in Encanto, it's the Disney movie, and but the main character, she has glasses, and apparently there was some girl who had reached out to Disney and saying that there were no princesses with glasses, and so they had kind of put this movie and put that in there and based it on her image. And part of that article was talking about you don't see that, and that was really empowering to see somebody with glasses that wasn't perceived as a nerd going through. So which made me think of like all the other people who are deaf, or people who are blind, or people who are who have every other thing. I think about it from a Black perspective, growing up and not necessarily seeing a whole lot of Black role models, at least where I lived. So who were your first, or did you have any that you kind of came across that were like your deaf role models?
Actually, until I was 20 years old, that's when I actually came across. It was very unfortunate, because I was struggling a lot, and I always thought, like, man, like, why can I not see or hear about someone that looks like myself? So it really affected like my mental health, obviously, because you don't know why you're the way you are. You couldn't get advice on something, because it's very weird to see a deaf person interacting with the hearing community.
Yeah. So and then that kind of around that time, is that when you started going into the advocacy and all of that, or did you do that later on?
I actually started it when I started the advocacy. I actually started when I actually was working at a big park. And it's actually a very cute story. I was working actually, and my hair was in a ponytail. I was on break. A little boy came to me, and he was also deaf too, and he had two hearing aids. And you know, when he tapped me, I thought he was lost, but he's like, "No, I just want to say I am deaf too." It's so cute. And his mom came to me and said, "Oh my God, like I always teach my child that." You know, you're normal, you're okay, you can be yourself in the hand community. And the mom said, you're going to make a change just because you just simply put your hair in a ponytail and you just show off your hair nails. It was just fascinating because you don't see that. And a lot of times, you know, people who have disabilities, sometimes we are scared to come out our comfort zone and really get ourselves out there like that. So, but yeah, ever since that little boy, it really did inspire me, you know, and that's when I started seeing a lot more awareness. When I started my advocacy and really hustle myself, like get myself out there and really teaching people. So yeah, I definitely see a lot more, but it's very rare to see. I'm not saying it's always 100%, but it's very rare to see a deaf person really getting themselves out there.
Yeah. Embracing that part of themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really interested, Kellina. I'm a school teacher and I teach fourth grade. And so one of the things I was wondering about were your experiences in school and what it was like going through school with a hearing disability. And I'm curious, did you attend a school, like a public school or a school that was for, you know, specifically designed for students with hearing disabilities?
So I actually went to two schools. In the morning, I went to the deaf school, and in the afternoon, I actually went to hearing school. My family did that because my family really wanted me to communicate in a way, especially when I get older. They want me to learn. It was very difficult because I felt like I was two different person. Going to the deaf school and then going to hearing school because I felt like I fit more in the deaf school, obviously because of my community. But as well, there's a lot of lack of advocacy for myself in the hearing school, just because I always consistently have to advocate for myself, especially teaching teachers how to advocate for me and how to teach me, basically. I have to consistently, you know, drain myself a lot of times to making sure that the teacher is wearing a microphone for me. And sometimes I remember this one teacher, did not wear the microphone for me at all. He just felt uncomfortable, and he was like, "I'm not playing this song." Like nothing wrong with her, but little did he knew that the classroom was so big, and I was having a difficult time hearing him. I did face a lot of discrimination toward teachers because a lot of teachers did push me underneath the rug, kind of, and they never really like bothered helping me a lot. So I never really had like a great experience in hearing school. Very positively because until I got to high school, I was able to advocate more for myself, and I was able to stand up more and be like, "Hey, no, that's just not how you treat me." And like, I will be a B2U tier teacher. Like, don't do that. So it takes time. And being able to get myself out there, especially not being able to be bullied, because I was bullied a lot of time for my speech. And, you know, I remember, you know, I almost went to the hospital too when I was in grade 1 when I got bullied for my deafness. It was a very difficult journey, I would say.
So do you have any advice or anything you think is particularly important for teachers to keep in mind or to be thinking about when working with students who are deaf or hard of hearing?
I would say for teachers, really to keep in mind how you're accommodating your students, because that's very, very important, because you want to make sure that they can hear you in the classroom, and how are you being accessible, right? Especially during sports. Are they able to hear you across the gym, you know, playing sports that they can see and hear, right? Because a lot of teachers don't understand that people who are deaf and hard of hearing, they rely heavily on eye stitch, right? So if you're playing sports, play something that we can see visually and also hear at the same time. And that was very difficult for me, especially when I used to play volleyball and I couldn't hear because, you know, I'm only facing this one side and I can't hear my team behind me. And they're saying, "Now, Kellina, catch this ball." I'm like, "Huh?" So it doesn't work. So always be mindful how you are being inclusive for the deaf community, and always advocate and also to ask questions. Right? I always tell teachers, don't be afraid to ask the students, like, am I helping you? What can I do better to improve myself?
Right.
And don't be afraid to, ask for help in a classroom. I know teachers feel like, because they're teachers, they know everything. No one gets the perfect correct the first time being, especially if it's your first time having a deaf student in this classroom. Don't be scared,
Yeah. I think so. We have a very large elementary school. We've had a lot of students come through that have had been deaf or hard of hearing, and I had my first experience of having a student in my classroom 2 years ago, and so that was definitely a learning experience. But the number one thing I learned was that the most important thing was that relationship building with that student, and that's true for every student, but particularly with a student with a disability like that, because you talked about needing to be able to advocate for yourself, and so I needed her to advocate for herself and let me know what was working and what was not working. But that can understandably be very hard to do, especially with somebody who's more introverted or younger. And so building that relationship so that she felt like she could trust me and come talk to me, and also so I could go to her and have those conversations with her of, I want to be able to help you. I'm not sure if this is working. What can I do? So that was really, really important. And it was it was a great experience. A lovely student. I really enjoyed having her. But it took, there was a learning curve for me there as well. And so I definitely, connect to what you were talking about.
Definitely. I'm glad that you had a great experience.
Yes. The other thing I thought was really interesting is that, so you're into advocating for, you're an advocate, you are, kind of a mentor or a coach for people that, specifically people that have disabilities, or you're saying you work with anybody, but so I thought that was really great. It was something that I hadn't, I guess, given enough thought to, of how important it is for somebody that has a disability to have somebody that they can go to like you, and just how powerful, I think, trying to put myself in that situation, how powerful that would be. So I thought that was really, really great. That's what you're doing. It just really interested me. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, André.
Oh no, I was just gonna kind of touch on that advocacy and the mental health aspect, and I think a lot of people run into, as humans, mental health issues across the board spectrum, but I think certainly different groups of people will find different things. Maybe isolation a little bit more in the sense of any sort of disability along the way. Are there more, do you find, in working with the people that you work with, do you find more or less different types of struggles in general?
Definitely a lot of struggle along disabilities and mental health, because a lot of people don't talk about it a lot of time. Even for me, like, I was already going through so much because I didn't have anyone that can tell me, like, it's okay, but you're gonna have to carry the, I would say, baggage for rest of your life, because you're gonna have to rely on yourself so much and not having to depend on anybody else. And also too, because, for example, I went to the store and my hearing aid battery died. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't think about. It's like, oh, snap, like a deaf person, the hearing aids has batteries. So you need to consistently be having batteries with you. So if you forget your batteries, how can you hear? So it's a lot of baggage that people don't understand, especially when mental health that comes in, because hearing aid batteries are super expensive and not everybody can afford a hearing aid. So it triggers a lot on their mental health, like, oh my God, every single second. And that's how I felt when I was younger, because I didn't know. And I didn't know, like, this was going to be my life, And I didn't have anybody that could tell me that. And it's very unfortunate that mental health was not a huge topic for disability people. And unfortunately, the reason for that is because there's so much things that we have to do. There's so much things that we have to learn about ourselves, because the more older you get, you learn a lot more about yourself and your disability. So you don't really have the time to take a step back and think about your mental health and say, oh my God, I should have took a day off today. Or I should, for me, for example, I could have just took one day off, take out my hearing aid, and just take a day off from the world. But, usually I don't do that. But, I mean, and it happened.
Yeah, so were you going to say something, Pat?
Oh, if you're going around on the same line of topic, go ahead. I had another question, but I'll hold off.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's really interesting to kind of see those different perspectives along the way because, I mean, like I say, we are all humans at the end of the day, but we're all also have different baggage, if you will, that we carry along with us. So it's, that's, certainly mental health is one of those things that when I think of it from a perspective, like I used to work in a group home with autistic kids, and obviously there's a mental health aspect to it too, but they also have their disabilities and stuff, and you're in working with those kids and bringing them to their appointments and all of that stuff. It's kind of, you're looking at everything and you're trying to, it's almost overwhelming. And I can't even imagine what it's like to be that person to, deal with everything. It's like a avalanche of all of it, and where do you parse it out and stuff. So it's good to have, those specific people to focus on those things and be there for them.
Kellina, do you what age do you typically work with? Are your clients children, adults, or does it really run the gamut?
So it's from age 14, 15. So I would say 15 will be my first starting, just because I know there's a little bit of little kids that want, but I may take in some clients that are maybe a little bit younger, but it really depends on the situation they're facing. From 15 to 30, between 30 to 35, so 15 to 30 years old.
Okay.
Nice. And so you had written a book, and what was the name of that book?
Every Day I Am Just Deaf.
Every Day I Am Just Deaf. And so tell us a little bit about that book. Is that a...
Definitely. So my book is very short. I know a lot of people don't like reading long books. Because myself personally, I hate reading long books. So I like my book short and poetry. So it's mixed with poetry and biography. It's only 95 pages, and it's very short. And it's really about me, my journey actually, from when I was young, when I became deaf at the age of 4, until I would say when I'm now to this age, so when I'm 24, because the book just came out this year of May. So it's been super success. It's a lot about, inspirational, educational, and really give the hearing perspective what it's like to be deaf. That way, like all the hearing community can understand and really and truly understand what we're thinking, how do we communicate, and learning different ways. I know a lot of people read my book and they're like, oh my God, Kellina, I never thought about this. I remember this one lady, I think she was a mom, and she's so adorable, and she just said, it's funny how you mentioned about sending voice notes. A lot of times people send voice notes instead of text messages, and she realized that her daughter kept texting and like, Mom, can you text instead of voice note? So she didn't really understood that, oh no, my daughter is deaf and she couldn't hear well through the voice now. And I said, yeah, it can be very frustrating. It's better to text, but it was definitely very eye-opening for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's great to put that perspective out there. And I completely understand the short book. I have 2 published books myself. They're 1 page each. So,
have you? So you mentioned that you had some poetry as part of your book. Is that something that you've always been a writer, like writing poetry and other types of fiction writing versus?
Yeah, I always love it because I hate reading books. Believe me, when I tell people that, I'm like, no, I don't like reading books, but I just always love reading poetry. I love reading short books. I love rhythm. and theme, something that's very passionate and meaningful.
That's great.
Nice. Had that been something that you'd wanted to do for a while, writing that book, or?
Yeah, it's been a while. I never even told everybody that I was writing a book, to be honest. I did both the book, and it took me like 3 months to write my book. And I don't know, I was just sitting there, and I was like, let me write my book now. And it was during COVID time, actually. And I was bored, and I'm like, no, I need to do my book. I always wanted to see maybe I can finally get it published before COVID hit. Before COVID ends. And yeah, and I just did it. And then that's when I told people, like, hey, I have a book coming out. They're like, a book? Kellina, you write a book? And I'm like, yeah. So I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to really be a new, I would say not a new reputation, but kind of like bringing the community into the spotlight. I'm always that person, like, hey, come along, let's do this. Let's get our stuff out there.
That's awesome. So how do you feel about what do you see in the spotlight or for like deaf role models that are out there, celebrities and stuff? Like, do you think that what do you think of the representation that's out there?
The superhero, the superhero, I forgot her name was, but she's also deaf. It's very crazy because no one seen it coming. Everybody's like, wait, what? She's deaf, and she was, signing. It was really, really cool. Also to Spy Kids. Spy Kids number 4. There was a little boy with the hearing aid. Because I used to love Spy Kids, and that's the crazy thing. I love Spy Kids, and when I saw that last episode that came out, the last movie, and I was just so fascinated. I'm like, and I love this movie. Oh my God, as a kid. There's not always consistent, being the person consistent. It's always very rare. It's always there and then. But I just wish there was always some that being consistent, being out there.
About it from the school perspective and how representation at school is really, really important as well. And, we don't have, so André and I are from Maine. We're from a place that's not as diverse as other places in the United States. And so, we don't have a lot of diversity amongst our staff as far as people of color. We certainly don't have a lot of staff members that are deaf or hard of hearing or have other disabilities or anything like that. We do end up with a lot of staff members who have learning disabilities and things like that got into special education because they wanted to, work with students that were like them, the kind of students they were growing up. But, so I think about what you've talked about representation and having people like you as a kid, and so how important that is. And so that's just what I'm thinking about as I'm listening to you talk. I did have a question, and now I can't remember what that question was. It was sure to be a brilliant question, but I've totally lost my train of thought on that. I'm sure it'll come right back to me.
Of course, it will.
It's been a long day of teaching, so. Oh, I remember what it was. So I did hear you listening to some of the other podcast appearances that you've made. One of the things that struck me was you talked about how you've talked with people who have said that they haven't met people like you, and that's really important. How they haven't had the experience to talk with somebody that was hard of hearing and about their experiences and how important you thought that was, and they felt like that was. Is that something you find in talking to people? A lot of people sort of feel that way.
Yeah, it happens to me every day, to be honest. It's my life, every time I go on podcasts, they're like, oh my God, Kellina, they're just in a whole shock. I'm like, it's okay, like, no way. And it's something that I always face every day. I do find that a lot. It's very unfortunate because that's how I realized that the deaf community is very small but big at the same time. And a lot of people don't see it until they meet me. And they're like, oh my God, Kellina, you're the first person I ever met. Like, how do we find you guys? Like, why you guys, back there where you got to be this way, and like then explain to people that, you know, we've been bullied, you know, there's a lot of more things that we are focusing on, right? There's some people who feel uncomfortable communicating with someone that they can because of, you know, speech, you know, can't hear, who does sign language, right? There's people who are completely mute and ASL, and no one knows ASL.
Yeah.
So it's very unfortunate. So that's why. But yeah, I face it every day.
Yeah. And so part of what you do through your book and through, you know, the work that you're doing is helping people like, you know, like me to better understand how I can work with students who have these hearing impairment, or how to best be inclusive of people that have hearing disabilities. And so, you know, I think that's really important because, you know, if you have not had the opportunity to work with those students or with people with those disabilities, you know, you're really coming to it from ignorance simply because you haven't had those experiences. And so, you know, I think that's really, really valuable. Another thought I had, so, you know, I know there are some people who may have a disability that might say, I don't want that disability to define who I am, or I don't want to lead with that disability because I want people to see me as more than that. But you've obviously made, you certainly don't try to hide your disability. You don't, you know, you've made it part of your professional life. It revolves around working with people that have disabilities and also advocating for people with disabilities. So how do you, you know, see those two schools of thought around that? I'm curious.
The schools?
Well, as far as some people not, I guess even the word disability, some people, you know, don't want to say I have a disability, or, you know, please don't call it a disability. But it seems like you've sort of embraced that and aren't afraid to say, you know, I have a hearing disability and that sort of thing. So what are your thoughts around that?
I mean, everybody's different. I always tell people that. For me personally, I always remind myself that if I don't use my voice now, who is ever going to use it in the future? And if you look at it, like, there may be someone that's too nervous to go out there, you know? And I realized that with myself because I was really, really nervous to start my entrepreneur journey this way. And I didn't think it would kick up super success. And I was like, whoa. So sometimes people really have to understand, once you come out your comfort zone, you realize so much more. And you realize you are vulnerable. Like, you deserve to be in this planet. And I would tell people, you know, God gave you that gift for a reason. You know, you need to find a way of using it. Use it. Maybe it's God made you have the disability because he wants you to use it. He wants you to be, you know, on social media, you know, tell your story. You just don't know, but just get yourself out there. And a lot of people now, especially the way social media is, people are starting to be out there. Even myself, when I started it, I met so many young professionals. They're all doing it too. And I said, yeah, I'm cheering you on. Let's do it. So it's very sad that because it's taking so long for people who have a disability to say, disability does not define me. But it takes time. But again, I honestly, personally, you know, I blame it on the education system because, you know, we all start learning from going to school. A lot of time when you're young, you're growing up, they don't teach us about education. They don't teach us how to be inclusive. I never knew, and I honestly personally didn't even know, for the blind people, I didn't even know there was the thing that's to help them read. And I didn't know that until I got older. And I said, why we're just not educated about that? And, you know, and a lot of people don't even know how to help to walk a blind person across the street. It's like, that's the basic lifestyle that we should be known for. It's like, why are there no education on about disability people? And I feel like if the education system do better in that type of way and educating the next generation, I feel like the world will become a better place for everybody as a whole.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you just said. Wonderful. So you are quite accomplished. You have a degree in psychology. You have some postgraduate work. You have your you know, your business that you've started. You have a book that you've published. You've done quite a lot already.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, are there other projects that you've already got going on in your head that
Of
you're
course,
looking
of course, of course. There's a lot of project coming up. I do have a book collaboration. A book collaboration with all the other professionals across the country. Actually, it's gonna be released in December. It's a book. Every little, it's like a little story from each of us. It's really cool. It's coming out in December 22nd. I'm pretty sure that's the goal for that book. And secondly, I am actually writing a children's book, coming up as well. Because I always had that passion for children's books. If you notice, there's no deaf children's book at all. And so my goal is really to get that deaf children's book into the school system if I can really can do that. And after too, I'm thinking about creating an app for disability people to meet friends so that they can meet friends who are around the community. They can meet friends. So that is the top 3 projects I have going on right now. I know I'm super busy, but that's me.
I mean, I really am impressed with all of the different projects you have going on, either now or in the future. I don't know if you saw my thumbs up when you said you're doing a picture book, but that's what I was thinking was a children's book would be absolutely perfect. I think there are a lot of kids that could benefit from hearing your story and you know, your advice and your success, I think would be really inspirational for them as well. So I'm very happy to hear that. Is there anything else before we let you go that you want to share with our listeners?
I just say definitely follow me on social media, which is Deaf Queen Boss. If you like the story, if you like me to speak in your event or schools or anything like that, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, or I have an email, which is deafqueenboss@gmail.com, which is super simple. Or you can find me on my website. I know a lot of people want to check out my coachings. It's kellinaempowerment.com. Thank you.
Awesome. It was really nice having you. Great meeting you. Very inspirational. And I look forward to seeing things from you in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear a thing. I'm going to stop recording now. I'll give you a call.
Okay.
1 sec.
Okay.
Recording stopped.
I thought my phone said André or die when it came up. It was André or Dre, but I was like, André or die. That's really weird.
That'd be...
So I think that, yeah. Anyway, I think that went okay. At first, I thought you were trying to make some like really inappropriate joke saying that you couldn't hear